Namaste guys, ChristianRLong, Life Enhancement Consulting, giving you a big and beautiful shout out on this Thursday evening here in Denver, Colorado. I literally have no idea what time it is. I left my house at some point. I've been rollerblading for maybe about an hour or so. It'll be over an hour by the time I get home, and I'm in front of a country club. Stephen, Namaste, I'm in front of a country club that's in Cherry Creek. It says CCD or DCC, I don't know. Probably Cherry Creek, so something Cherry Creek. Avani, Namaste. And look at this beautiful arrangement right here. Isn't that nice? Beautiful purple flowers. And I want to jump on and share an insight that, Jillian, Namaste, an insight that I just recently had about the problem with easy wisdom. Lorena, Namaste, good to have you back on. Is that in 2019, pretty much not even first world, but even third world countries have good Wi-Fi, have good internet access, whether on their phones, their tablets, their laptops, their desktops, and they can access the world's information right at their fingertips. But what's the problem with that? The problem with that is we are unable to A, discern truth from non-truth, or discern true spiritual teachings versus false spiritual teachings, high-level spiritual teachings versus low-level spiritual teachings, because a lot of us lack the discernment. And number two, everything is so easily available, and by something being easily available, we automatically have less appreciation for it. How can I relate to that immediately? So, one of the masters in pranic healing is giving a workshop in Washington, D.C. tonight. And a friend of mine sent me a link to that talk where I was able to log on directly either on my phone with the app or onto my laptop, and I was able to be aware of a great teacher giving priceless spiritual teachings and spiritual energy. Fernando, Namaste. But I jumped on. I was on for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. I caught it in the middle of meditation, which you typically want to catch it at the beginning of meditation, but I caught it late because I was working with a client. And I was simply stilling myself. I was being still, being aware, doing my best to tap into the energy of the meditation. And I was experiencing a tremendous amount of bliss and stillness and peace. Within a few seconds, I could feel the downpour of spiritual energy coming. Now, this is coming from a spiritual practitioner of 20 years and a pranic healer and professional healer for 15 years. So I'm a little bit much like I've drank in the Kool-Aid. Becca, Namaste, good to have you back on. I've drank in the Kool-Aid and improving the quality of my life using these readily available tools of certain apps, certain tools that we have easy access to. And that's me. So think about an ordinary, common, everyday person who knows nothing about spirituality but wants to have a little bit more inner peace. Knows nothing about meditation but wants to have a little less stress in their lives. How do they know where to go? How do they know what to do? How do they know what to take and apply, and how do they know what to stay away from at all costs? Right? So there's a lack of discernment on the spiritual path. And it's interesting because even 100 years ago, I was sharing this with a client the other day, even 100 years ago, people had to risk life and limb in order to access true spiritual teachings from a spiritual teacher, right? So they had to go on pilgrimages that lasted for weeks, months, if not years, depending upon the type of pilgrimage, in order to get access to those blessings, to those teachings from that spiritual teacher. They would have to weather the elements, rain, snow, mudslides, extremely hot temperatures. They would have to deal with lack of food, lack of water, lack of good food, lack of clean water, right? But they did everything and anything. And so do you think that these people were open and receptive to the tiniest of morsels of spiritual teachings? Yeah, of course. They're like, look, I've already sacrificed so much. I've sacrificed my health, I've sacrificed time, I've sacrificed safety, all to come here and sit at the feet of the teacher. So I'm going to do anything and everything I can to extrapolate as much wisdom from this teacher as possible. Now, how does it work? You can jump onto a live stream on Facebook, on Periscope, on Zoom. You don't even have to get out of your underwear, and you can still receive priceless spiritual teachings for the low cost of a internet connection or cell phone plan. So that's what's super, super fascinating about spiritual teachings on the path, is that without somebody explaining to us and helping us practice discernment, we don't know which teachings are right for us at which time and in which dosages. There's people everywhere over here, like running at me. It's kind of a weird angle I'm sitting at here. A little distracting. It's okay. I sat here for a reason. It's nice. It's in a prosperous country club area. It's all good. So, I hope this guy doesn't bike into me. So isn't it funny that if we don't sacrifice something, we don't value it? And that's a big reason as to why Grandmaster Cho Koksui charges for the classes in pranic healing, because in the early years of developing, refining, and spreading pranic healing in his local area of the Philippines and in Asia, classes were free. You come in, ask as many questions as you want, get as much information, as many blessings, as healing as you want, and you go on your merry way. But he noticed something. When people didn't pay for the class, they came Saturday, but didn't come back on Sunday at basic pranic healing classes all day Saturday, all day Sunday. So they wouldn't come back. Isn't that interesting? But then he started to put a price tag. And the price for pranic healing classes have pretty much stayed the same since I got involved 15 years ago. And wouldn't you know it, when people pay for classes, they're invested. They've sacrificed something. They feel, quote unquote, entitled to receiving something. And guess what? With that receptivity, with that conductivity, with that healthy level of entitlement, they do receive something. They receive the energy, the blessings, the wisdom coming from the teacher or the facilitator or the practitioner. So I remember my early days of doing free healings. People got great results. Then people would pay $20 for a healing. The results came faster and better. Then $60, then $100, then $150, then $225 for a healing. And what do you know? People get better results. Why? Because they're investing, because they're sacrificing. In the United States, people don't want to spend 10, 15, 20 years at the feet of a teacher providing service for that teacher, right? So, what do they do instead? They give money. They give money, which is a form of energy exchange. In poorer countries, in third world countries, they don't have the money or resources to give, so they give their time. They give their time. But in America, we want it now. We want the result now. We want inner peace now. We want enlightenment now. We want higher states of consciousness now. So the way we are more conductive, more receptive, and more entitled, Rose, Atma Namaste, to receiving those energies, we give money. We give money. Because I've heard that so many times doing the work that I do, spiritual work, meditation work, healing work, and people say, it happened a lot more in the beginning, it doesn't really happen now, but people say, well, how can you charge for something that is free? And it's like, do you understand that somebody had to sit down, use intuitive intelligence, use mental intelligence, and a tremendous amount of effort to make that happen? To make it into a system that is duplicatable and replicatable to consistently and persistently produce a healing result in your life and the lives of other people. Right? So what's that worth? And then I think about my own world of doing this, and I've spent probably 3,500 hours of training, at least, in classes and practicals, in order to become good at the work that I do, good in coaching and good in healing. It didn't just happen like one day I just woke up and I'm all of a sudden a miraculous a healer and a great coach to help people shift from where they are to where they want to be. That didn't happen overnight, right? So people have to put a value on that. But if you just say, yeah, free healing, free coaching, free everything, they don't get it. They don't get it. And I was joking with one of the master pranic healers many years ago. I said, well, I didn't pay for my basic pranic healing class. I got it for free. And here I am 15 years later, a full-time professional healer, very dedicated to my work. And she says, that's not entirely true, because you organized the class, you brought in other students who did pay the instructor, and as part of that arrangement, you were able to take the class for free. So it wasn't free. You used your time in order to make that happen. Does that make sense? So that's why I wanted to jump on real quick with you guys, share that with you, that just because something is easy doesn't mean it's not valuable. Just because you can get onto your phone, get onto your laptop, and access a meditation, a spiritual workshop, a healing class, does not mean it's invaluable, does not mean that it's priceless, does not mean that it can deeply and profoundly transform your life. It can. It does all the time. But it requires a level of discernment on your end. And that takes a lifetime to develop, to hone that skill, to be able to distinguish between truth and non-truth, which we're not going to cover in tonight's stream because we don't have that amount of time. But anyways, for those of you who need healing, go to ChristianRLong.com. It's my name. It's my website. I don't know if I lost you guys or not.